wasn't just that, though.
Yeah.
He also failed on the Brexit stuff.
Yeah. Was he for Brexit? I can't remember.
Dude, he tried to lead, like, the stay movement, and people in fucking the UK want to leave the European Union. Like, it's... Can't be a populist and go against their major populist shit that's going on. And, like, I honestly think... Deep down, Jeremy... I don't know a whole lot about it, but I think Jeremy Corbyn actually sides with the Brexit people, but the whole Labour Party, like, doesn't want to, so he, like, played party politics.
Yeah, and failed at it.
And people are like, fuck you, you're supposed to be, like, against the party in a way, like an anti-establishment figure, and you just sided with the establishment of the party.
Yeah, that was kind of
fucked himself.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a catch-22, it seemed like. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, dude, Brexit is... You know, when I first started hearing about it, I thought, kind of like what everybody else thought, it was just a black and white thing. And the way that the media kind of got me on this, like the way that they were spinning it, and I don't know enough about British politics, they spun it like all it was a bunch of racist dumbasses that wanted to leave Brexit because of immigration. Yeah. And immigration was a factor, but it was only one factor, and it wasn't about race. It was about, like, issues with immigration. Like, immigration is tough on communities, man.
Yep.
When you these are people that, you know, don't speak the language, they don't have the culture, they are going to be in poverty moving into this country, a lot of them, especially refugees, and it creates a huge systemic challenge for communities, and especially bringing them to a place like England where it's very homogenic. You know what I'm trying to say? But and, like, look, for some people, yeah, racism was an issue, but there's a lot more going on there with Brexit, man. There's the fact that the European Union is just, it's not like what we want to think it is, man. It's just a giant
bureaucracy, really.
Yeah.
And also, I've seen, like, other countries have had referendums to get out of the European Union as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it was meant to be kind of like a more looser version of what the United States is, and to bring unity and in concept, it's really, really a great idea, but just like kind of how corporations have taken over the American government, the EU just turned into a giant corporate trading bloc, so that the European corporations could be on par with those of Asia and the United States, and it ended up hurting working class people in the end, man.
Well, and it strips sovereign nations, governments out of power and gives the power to the European Union.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure is not good necessarily either.
No, and it could work more. I mean, I just hope it isn't the death knell for necessarily a united Europe.
Well, I heard one of the guys, I forget his name, he's the big guy who, like, started the Brexit movement in UK politics. He said something like, I just want to clarify, we love Europe, we just hate the European Union. And then they all, like, do this weird, I don't know, the way the fucking British people do their political shit.
Yeah.
And then they start waving
the papers and shit.
No, they start waving UK flags.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, I know you don't want to see our, like, pride in our flags, but we're gonna do it. And then, like, the woman in charge of, like, the European Union stuff is, like, hammering this thing. She's like, stop. It's fucking weird.
That's awesome. And, you know, the more that I've learned about it, the more I've kind of been on the side of Brexit, because I do understand it. Because how many, you know, probably millions of English people lost their jobs because the companies that were in England were like, oh, we're going to outsource to the newer members of the EU and Eastern Europe, where the labor's a lot cheaper, like the Ukraine and some of the Slavic nations. I mean, that's what the biggest issue was for a lot of these people.
Taking the divine to spend a little time at my grave.